All right. Well, I guess Sid would have teleported over for this to Orpheotaurus. Come wandering up from the excuse me, from the town. Go
What time
look
of
for
day
Dejs.
would Sid be heading back?
Hmm?
What time of day would you be heading over?
Probably midday.
And what day is it? Is it your birthday?
I think it was before that.
Before that? Okay.
Like the day before?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then I would have met at the Etherite, I guess, to welcome Sid in.
So have you had any luck getting Millie on board with this?
I believe so. I think she's open to the possibilities.
Okay. Well, that's better than nothing. And Soul, is he ready for this as well?
Oh yeah, I think so. He was in his room last night. I had checked on him. I think he was just preparing his mandolin. I'm ready. I got the little bag of silver dust.
Excellent, excellent. All right, I guess there's no time like the present. Let's grab Soul and go find Millie.
Sounds good. So I'll lead the way into the castle and go and meet up with Soul. Soul, you there?
Yep, hello. Oh, Professor, you made it.
Yeah, yep. Well, this is something that I feel I kind of had to be in person for.
That makes sense. Not a character we've already talked to Millie, right? Or did Dejs was the only one who talked to Millie, or did
No,
Soul
you
help?
You helped me. It was a joint effort because I needed somebody there to actually do some very good, speech work. So.
All right, excellent.
Well, was that a convince Millie to meet with you guys, or convince Millie to participate in this thing?
I'm thinking participating. That's why I just told the professor that you were open to the possibility. But you could be lying about it. I don't know. I trust you.
And where would Miss Millie be?
She would be in her room enchanting candies.
Do we need to do this anywhere in particular, or?
No, but the cast time is about an hour, so probably somewhere comfortable.
I guess maybe we can leave that up to Millie. Maybe she'll be more willing to go with it if she can choose the venue there.
Could be. Well, no time like the present, I suppose.
Let's go. Bolt strapping on his bow and following.
All right, let's go find Millie. Where's the last place Millie was at when you saw her, Soul?
I think it was. She's been in her room, some sort of special project that she's doing. I didn't want to ask too many questions.
Oh.
Wise decision.
Okay, well let's go check out her room then. Millie, are you there?
Man.
Was that come in or?
I think that
Did you
was
hear
a come in with something. She eating something, maybe?
Oh, she might be. I mean, that wasn't a very articulate moan. So, yeah, let's go check it out. But just in case, I'm ready.
Good.
Open the door, Millie.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Millie's at a workstation that she's set up. There's several piles of wrapped candies, as well as that ridiculous satchel of diamond dust. And you see her, she's got a lollipop in her mouth, and she's basically she got a lollipop in her mouth and like a very fine chisel in one hand, and she's slowly taking a gumball and what looks to be inscribing a teeny tiny little rune on it, and then taking a pinch of the diamond dust and sprinkling it into the rune. And then from there it glows, it like flashes purple and then disappears, leaving just the faintest little outline. And it would definitely be a magic that Sid's familiar with, given recent samurai interactions. Notably, other than that, in the room, she's got a small standing piano, like one of the little vertical ones, and then she's got her various outfits and gear on a wall, including the mask from the most recent session, just kind of on like a hat rack in the corner.
Oh, Amelia, I think your mask is a little smudged. You got like some dark thing under your eye there. I didn't see that last time.
It's been there a while.
What are you doing over there with those candies, Millie? It seems like you're using glyphs.
All right, you are. I was thinking of a way after that fight with Omega. I didn't really have enough time to do any prep work before we got into that fight, seeing as Omega was more than a little insistent on fighting us immediately. So I had the idea, what if I could pre-store various defensive magics, or healing magics, or whatever, and put them in something that I could pass out before a battle for people to use. So I was thinking, like, for instance, this one here, and 1 second, she holds up she holds up a little wrapped butterscotch candy. This one here, expensive, this most expensive candy I'll ever eat, but it contains a single charge of the Revivify spell.
Huh.
So if someone were to go down, or I were to go down, or you, or yeah, I think you and I are the only ones who know how to do that. But if somebody were to go down, they could basically pop the candy in their mouth, and then the spell would discharge to hopefully take effect. And I've got a wide variety of them that I've been working on, different candies for different things. But that's why I needed all of that diamond dust for when I went to town the other day. Exceedingly expensive. And then also a
Yeah.
bunch of candy just for myself. But, I
Yeah.
mean, I figure it'd be better to have those on demand than run into a fight, especially if we're ambushed, and not have them, like with what happened back in Ishgard.
Yeah. Well, Millie, three of us wanted to talk to you about something. You think you can hold off for a minute?
Well, your timing's good. I just finished this one. Takes an hour, but thankfully you caught me on the hind end of that one, so let me just seal up this diamond dust so it doesn't coat my room in the most abrasive dust you've ever seen.
And the most expensive.
Yeah, and the most expensive. So Millie takes off her gloves, seals the bag of diamond dust, and and then basically she's on like a little spinning stool. So she then she just spins over to face everyone, saying, "So, what you have in mind?"
Well, it kind of goes back to, remember the conversation you and I had in the machinery in the simulation?
Oh, the conversation where you couldn't just let bygones be bygones, and you felt the need to poke the sleeping behemoth again.
Well, more so than conversation where you were telling me that you were concerned about losing control.
Oh, part one of that conversation. Right, I remember.
Kind of, with everything that happened, and I know it was a simulation, and that's neither here nor there, but I know that what went on in there definitely affected us and made us concerned for you.
This
Gonna
whole
play a
time she's
little
just
ominous few notes on the standing piano. Try and lighten the mood.
If for anyone else messing with the piano, I'd have words with them, but I have faith that you're not going to knock it out of tune. But I feel like your concern was expressed, and I took it to heart in that I wouldn't let Dejs be forced to witness any of that again if it arised. And it hasn't.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen anything quite like that since we've come back.
Exactly.
I guess my concern is when we were still with AO and we were in the Google library, some people decided to draw from a deck, and after that, their personality changed, and I was wondering if that kind of thing might have carried over to you.
I certainly didn't notice anything. When I drew from the deck, all I noticed was that I got powerful, or more powerful, and got this nifty little red ruby that certainly helps with the spell casting.
I'm just the way things have been going, Millie. I've been a little more concerned with this thing you told me about how you felt about Xenos and a lot of what you did in that simulation, and how I don't want to put it in a harsh way, but how much more direct and I guess brutal you've been with some of your actions lately.
Brutal's one way for it, but so is efficient. We were all very much in the assumption that that simulation was quite real and quite dangerous. So I did what needed to be done to get us back to safety of wherever the hell we weren't at that time. I don't really see what the problem was, considering there's more than a few situations where the rest of the group has done similarly serious things for serious reasons.
You seem to take a lot of enjoyment in what you did.
And why wouldn't I? You always taught us to take pride in a job well done.
I don't think that kind of thing should really be something to take pride in.
Would you tell Kenji to not take pride in his skills as a warrior on the battlefield?
No. I couldn't help but notice you were especially proud of your use of the tea leaves that you used on the steppe as well.
I felt it was a little poetic, using something that had more than I intended caused harm to us to instead cause harm to those causing us harm. A little karmic justice for people who are, simulations or otherwise, quite literally the worst people we've ever met.
Can't argue that, but I listen. I had been talking with Sol and Dejs about my concerns, and there is something that I could do if you're open to it, and if nothing comes of it, nothing comes of it, and maybe I'm just chasing shadows, but if there's something I could do to help, I'd like to.
And this is all circling back to that magical deck of cards that we drew from in the library. You think something happened as a result of that I'm not aware of?
I think that's a possibility.
Well, not just that. When Kevin was putting on Zmail's armor after we bested him, it seemed like AO did something where he saw the symbol light up in their eyes, and shortly after that, I was joined in a dream by AO, surrounded by a group of Athians. And so not only am I concerned about what the deck might have done, I'm concerned that these masked figures might have some sort of influence over you based on what happened with the armor, and I don't think you want that. I know we certainly don't want that. So I think we might need to do something about that.
I also can recall seeing that same symbol in your eyes when we were talking, just for a minute.
So these ancient, seemingly immortal assholes decided to get a little petty when I broke their enchantment, and you think they did something to me as a result. And that's why I was in the dream, not just some type of vengeful, ironic dream twisting.
Yeah, it seems that they brought you into the dream against your will. And I can't say that I like the idea of them being able to have any sort of power over you.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment, but doesn't that also mean that they also have power over you, seeing as you were there too? So maybe Solus is the one who needs to have that little whatever you have in mind done instead.
I don't know
But
that
I agree to go through it too. Would you do it?
I mean, I need to know what it entails more, because so far it just sounds like dear old professor's not too happy the fact that he doesn't have the same quantity of loyal ass-kissing students that he used to have.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, and you know I've never had to kiss him, so I don't know what you're talking about, Millie.
The rest of them know what I meant.
Really, I'm not bringing this up because I want to somehow have you, I don't know, indebted to me or beholden to me for anything. I want to make sure that everything is all right. Because if it's not, you're as much a threat to everybody else as yourself.
And this is all coming down to one interrogation I did with 2 Alligans in a simulation. Because so far I haven't heard any examples from when AO was with you, other than
AO, from what I understand, had a pretty rough interrogation with Zamail's son.
this was one of his sons. Probably not the most favorite one, but this was one of them.
Either way, it's
And it wasn't that direct. All I did was really I erased his memories to make him think that he had killed all of us, and then manipulated it so that he'd be, or I'd have a little piece of him if I needed to scry on their location, which ultimately didn't work because Zamel was shielded from that, but it wasn't, I mean, we had multiple people there that would have seen it. Hancock saw it. Let's see, who else was there? Saul, I think you were there with me during that. But regardless, it wasn't half as direct as it was with the Alligans. I didn't have as much to go off of to prove that he deserved as much as they got. And he also didn't have metal teeth, so good for him.
true, but you find changing somebody's memory, erasing their memory, altering their mind, something that you would be okay with?
Certainly wouldn't let it be done to myself, but doing it to someone like him to protect everyone else seems more than a worthy cause.
I got to be honest, and I didn't want to be direct about it, but I've always known you to have a bit of a temper, Millie. I've always known you to sometimes go above and beyond things that aren't necessarily things that you should blow up over, but I've never seen you bloodthirsty. Are you going to tell me that joining the Garlean military did that to you?
Nah, unfortunately, we didn't really do all that much when it came to actual combat when I was with Xenos. I think we got into like one skirmish with some bandits that thought they could try to knock over the crown prince and take him for all he's worth. That was a lot of fun. Xenos and I had a grand old time, but that was just some simple bandits. I think it was 5, and then she looks over at her mask. No, it was 6 of them. But no, I wouldn't say they made me bloodthirsty.
How
It just
many
maybe makes.
how many tally marks are on that mask now?
Are you asking or observing?
I'm asking. Well, observing.
I think it's 34. Yeah, I think 34 was the number.
So you kept track of them on that mask, huh?
Well, yeah, kind of started off as an unofficial competition between me and Xenos, which I lost handily, but then I just kept the tradition going.
And how many did you have then?
It's just the 6.
Seem like there are a lot more now.
Oh, yeah, well, you know what they say about idle hands. Been
What have
keeping
you been
myself
doing?
busy. Well, if your little spy in Dejs had been perhaps a bit sneakier. Sorry, Dejs. I appreciate your improvements, but it's not quite the not quite up to snuff. But I've been helping out in Kugane doing some community service, as it were, since we got back from dealing with Omega. Or I guess got out from dealing with Omega.
So, in the time since we've left the simulation, you've gone from 6 tally marks to 30-ish?
Yeah, that sounds about right. The scum I've been dealing with tends to not operate in singles, so
That kind of goes back to my concern about you being bloodthirsty all of a sudden.
cleaning the streets of people who'd mug an innocent girl is bloodthirsty.
Since when did you become judge, jury, and executioner?
Since we have the power to do it. I mean, that's kind of what we get hired to do all the time, is to go act on behalf of people who don't have the strength that we have,
And
to
who
go do the
asked you to
things that
do
they can't
this?
or won't do. No one asked me to, that's why it's community service. And not a job.
Sounds like it's more of a pastime than a community service.
I mean, you know what they say, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But I really don't see the problem about removing bad people from the equation, just like in the simulation. The not the Garleans, the Alligans were bad people, simulations or otherwise, and I got rid of them. Same thing with these people in Kugane,
How do you know they were all bad?
because they tried to mug me or worse. I used myself as bait, so I wasn't putting any actual innocents in danger.
So you went out expressly to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I walked up to someone and said, hey, if you found me in a dark alley, would you mug me? They're not going to say yes. So I dangle a piece of bait out for them.
Millie, that's not you, or at least not the you I knew. You would go after people who were going to hurt us, yes, but you wouldn't go after people just for the fun of it.
Well, it's not like I just started stabbing some random passerby.
You kind of did.
They came to me with ill intentions in their hearts, and they just got their just desserts for it.
After being lured for no reason.
Well, if I were to present myself in the same situation with everyone in our group, I wouldn't exactly feel like I was about to get mugged or worse. So
I
it's not.
feel like you're oversimplifying the situation, Millie.
I feel like you're overcomplicating the situation. Bad people were going to do a bad thing that they thought they could get away with, and then, oh, powers that be said they couldn't get away with it.
You're the powers that be all of a sudden.
In that moment, I was. And if you and Sherbin were walking down the street and someone mugged you, not knowing the strength that you and Sherbin have, you'd probably put him into paste on a wall for trying.
I wouldn't go looking for the trouble.
Well, then that just speaks to your level of proactivity, doesn't it?
Yes, and my value for life.
They don't value life, so why should their life be valued?
Obviously, they value their own life. They didn't go there expressly planning on being murdered.
Well, of course they didn't, but neither would one of their victims. Every one of them that I got rid of saved some other poor person from winding up with their belongings
less
stolen,
money?
their less money, less life.
So, gold is equal to life.
You and I both know that not everyone would just stop at taking gold in that situation.
But some would. And for you to decide that you're the one who's going to make that decision and make that choice to take somebody else's life like that, Millie, that's not, again, not you.
Well, when in Kugane, the Sekisagumi will kill you for drawing a blade, let alone putting it to use. Kind of fits with the themes and customs of the area now, doesn't it?
Pretty sure that the point of that is not to have murder along the streets of Kugat.
Right, a deterrent. So if word stops getting around that people who go after little girls to mug them in an alley start winding up missing and dead, maybe it, is a bit of a deterrent to stop it from happening again, just like how the Sekisagumi operate, with the blessings of the Shogun.
Yeah, they don't actively go killing people unless they need to. They don't
All
lure
these
people into
people
alleys.
you murdered, they were all actively mugging you?
Yes, I dressed up in whatever made it look like I was the most easy target, I guess would be the easiest way to phrase that. Went down a dark alley, waited for someone to make a bad decision, and then I just showed them just how bad their decision was. But if I was what I appeared to be, that person would be in grave danger.
These people were physically mugging you. How
Oh,
did you know for sure what they were doing?
Well, much like a hunter's trap laden with a piece of meat, I'd wait for them to actually go for it, and then your average mugger is not on par with anyone in our group, so they would definitely find out quickly they bit off more than they could chew.
And you're sure that you didn't make a lot of assumptions with what was happening and you weren't actually getting mugged?
I feel like I'm a better judge of character than you're giving me credit for.
The fact that there are 30 tally marks on that mask make me question that.
30 tally marks that represent
pretty impressive to run
bandits,
across that
muggers.
many awful people.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear it.
It's very impressive that you've came across this many awful people in the city in this short a time.
There's a
worry
whole
about your judgment in here.
There is an entire undercity of Kugane that we haven't visited that seems to be almost entirely comprised of people that would be more likely than not willing to do bad things to make a quick buck. And certainly there's certainly just some unfortunate poor people that were just there because the town's the winds of trade didn't favor them, but I had no business with them.
Are you sure that none of the people that you lured into a trap were people who just needed money to feed their families.
They certainly didn't present it that way.
Oh, I don't think that it would be very easy to do so after having a knife in their throat.
It's not like I killed them before they had a chance to talk and announce their nefarious intentions.
So you're proud of this.
I think I did good work. And just in the same way that the entire Garlean contingent on this continent is going out of its way to safeguard roads and byways from monsters and ne'er-do-wells like the bandits that Xenos and I killed, it's doing a service and asking nothing in return.
Do you think the Seki Sugumi would see it that way?
I think the only reason the Seki Sagumi aren't down there lopping off heads left and right is because they don't have the manpower for it. And that would absolutely be a bloodshed that contained a lot more innocence, because they tend to have a very black and white view of everything that we've seen so far.
I'm pretty confident in the idea that they're not going to go willy-nilly just killing random people because they might be muggers or they might seem like they have some kind of ill intent.
I mean, if that's your estimation of their character, but I always felt like the Seki Sagumi were very much a behead first and ask questions later, like we saw on our very first day that we arrived here. There.
Did somebody break the rule that is established in this city, in that
It was
city?
it was a brawl in the street, and both of them died. The aggressor and the person who was being aggressed upon.
So because they can't catch you breaking the rules, it's okay.
As far as I'm aware, there's no rules down there.
None of that sounds right to me, Millie.
But so what you're saying is that it was immoral of me to try to clean up the streets in this way, to fight these people that were doing what I perceive to be wrongs.
Millie, you're not a vigilante.
Yes, the answer is yes.
So then it would be better if I knew outright that they were aligned against me, and then it would have been just fine.
If they attacked you first, you're luring people under the pretense that they're gonna harm you.
Right, and I waited for them to attempt to harm me.
And every one of these people attempted to harm you every time?
That's what I was looking for. That was the
Well,
bait
that's what
that I
you're
set out
looking
for them.
for, but that doesn't sound like what was the reality.
Well, I mean, none of you were there to see.
No.
Well, I guess
Unfortunately.
she has it all figured out, so I will leave you guys to it. Soul's real pissed off about this.
You understand that you're a murderer, cold blood. And that's all of a sudden okay for you?
I mean, it requires a certain degree of coldness when you're dealing with something brutal like that. Or
Yeah,
are
the
you
Millie
sitting
I
there
know
every
wouldn't
night beating
be
yourself
looking
up?
for something brutal like that. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I have a concern that something's different and something's wrong.
So are you telling me that every night you go home and you cry into Sherbin's arms about the dozens of Zamel soldiers that you murdered in battle just because they were directly opposed to you? Didn't give them
Well,
a chance to flee
I didn't.
or try to knock them unconscious? You impaled them on spikes of crystal.
We gave them plenty of attempts to run. We told them to get out.
Didn't give them any
And if they're
attempts.
going to use force against us, then I'm going to protect us. But I'm not going to lure people down an alleyway just to kill them because I think that they might have some kind of ill intent.
So then if you had the power to wind back time and have the means to prevent the deaths of the Broom faction at the hands of Zamel's faction, you'd wait until they started killing to take action?
I don't understand what you're asking.
I knew these people to be bad, so I took action.
No, you
You're saying
assume these people to be bad. So you took action to lure them and expressly tried to get them to do something that you thought was bad. There's a difference.
Right. So that way I was acting on a hypothesis, providing evidence, and then acting on the findings of my hypothesis.
Sounds
It's
an
not like I
awful
just
like
went up and said, "Oh, you sound shady. I'm going to stab you now."
sounds an awful lot like that's what you did. Because if you didn't go out there and lure them, make yourself a target, draw them somewhere, they would have passed you by. You went
Right,
out
they would have
looking
passed
for
me
this,
by
Millie.
and then had gone after someone that wouldn't have been able to defend themselves like the way I can.
You went out looking for this, Millie.
Right, I went out dressing myself up, looking like any random passerby on the street that happened to walk down a dark alley because they didn't know where they were going. And in that circumstance, those same people would have gone after them the same way they went after me, and then they wouldn't have been able to do a damn thing about it because they're just some hoity-toity noble somewhere.
That's an awful lot of assumptions you're making.
And you're making an equal amount of assumptions that they wouldn't have attacked this person the same way that
I
they
don't
tried to
care
attack
about.
me.
Listen, first of all, I don't think it's a great idea that you're luring people to do something wrong. But my concern is you, Millie, and it always has been. This, again, isn't you. The Millie that talked to me on the deck of the ship about gods and deities.
Gods.
That's,
Go on.
That Millie isn't the Millie I'm looking at right now.
Well, a large part of that Millie died when Omega showed us the utter idiocy of her entire religious foundation. That was the only thing she had left of her parents, so maybe it's just not the Millie you knew anymore.
And how did seeing Dalamud put up there change your thought on Menfina?
It broke my heart. It was the only
So-
thing I had left that was anything left of my parents, that was the small sliver of belief that the only reason I survived that night was because Menfina actually gave a damn and did something. And then I find out that it's a giant half of my deific worship is just a fucking space battery powered by an angsty dragon.
It seems to me that Menfina is still valid. You just don't have, what, her hound? Is that how she referred to it?
Right, Dalamud was her faithful hound, and Omega quite literally said to us that our gods don't exist. And considering that we saw firsthand that at least half of that divine presence doesn't exist, and considering Menfina never came down and said, "Hey, no, that's not my god dog, it's a battery in the space skies."
Well,
makes one question.
Considering recent conversations I've had, a couple of which have concerned you and that Asian, I can honestly say that I can feel pretty confident that our gods are not just talk.
Well, then at this point, that just pisses me off all the more that they didn't fucking do anything when I needed them to.
That's something to take up with them, not to change yourself into some kind of murderer.
Well, murder's just a matter of perspective, isn't it?
No.
People on the losing side of a war feel like their troops got murdered. From their perspective, it was bad people doing bad things.
And what war were these people fighting in the alleys?
A war against the innocent. It's not like they're targeting big, tough mercenary types to try to take their belongings or their life.
Again, a lot of assumptions you're making. And if I'm wrong and everything's normal, everything's the same. What is the harm in me trying to confirm that? You confirmed your own hypothesis, right? So why can't I?
Well, the one point I'll concede is that if you two, or the three of you, are all seeing some type of Asian fuckery in my eyes, and when my eyes were pixie eyes, that's something I just will not stand for. I fucking... I feel like I owe Valens a drink just for getting rid of that fucking etherite, or not etherite, the link pearl system, because I hated the way that that thing just invades your mind.
You don't
But
like people playing in your mind, huh?
no, not when I don't deserve it.
Hmm. Much like AO played with somebody else's son's mind.
Oh, but he absolutely deserved it.
Why? Because he was working under his father's orders.
I mean, you
were
weren't
just
there,
talking.
so you
You were
didn't
just
really...
talking about a war. That's what they had.
Right. And they're the bad guys in that war, so they deserve what they got. But when it came to Sheribert there, that was absolutely, like, you've been saying this whole time, it's like it's different that it was I was doing things to people that had no relation to me, but Sheribert was literally one of the assassins that tried to kill us in the night. So how was anything done to him not well deserved and concretely proven by your own standards of judgment?
He got his comeuppance for that.
We never saw his body. We don't know what the hell happened to him, but Pops is dead, so there's that.
Dejs, you still don't notice anything different?
Well, I've been sitting here listening to the both of you talk, and something kind of struck me. Something that Inti told me the other day, and he was saying, Deus, contract law strictly prohibits you being prosecuted unless an actual crime happens, right? So I was sitting here and listening to both of you guys talk back and forth, and I figured out what why it kind of stuck out of my head. So Millie, you're saying that these guys came up to mug you, but you stopped them, you killed them, right? So technically, they didn't go away with your money, which means that they weren't muggers, right? I mean, they
Right.
tried.
Attempted muggers.
Yeah. So
Or
that's what
worse.
I don't know if an attempted mugging here is, really a capital crime, right? So that means that they were punished by something that they didn't actually do. And the Millie that I knew back at the steps, she was very upset that she was being punished for something that she didn't do. And you were so mad about the professor being so sanctimonious and Sherbin being so sanctimonious about the whole issue. But now I'm sitting here listening to both of you, and you sound exactly the same. You're sitting over here saying that you're in the right and that they should have known what was going on, and you punish them for not actually mugging you. So I think that what happened here is that you actually became the professor. You became the person that you have a beef with at the moment, right? Because now you're talking about there are no gods, and that's exactly what Sid was acting like when we first came here, right? And now you're saying that you have all the knowledge and you're the smart one. So, does that really sound like you, Millie?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the step, because I will be the first to admit, after some time to think and a certain rejoining of over a millennia's worth of memories and character, I will admit that what I did in the step, I was a fucking idiot. I should have listened. That for whichever one of Sherbin's many husbands was saying how dangerous the plants were, I should have listened. I didn't take them seriously enough, and as a result, you and Kevin were seriously hurt, and Ogderell was potentially at risk of losing his life as well. And in hindsight, if the Millie that's before you now was in that same situation, I just would have put laxative in your tea, not neurotoxin. So that I was in the wrong there, and I admit it, and I just don't think I could properly wrap my head around the situation then. But a big difference between then and now is declared intent. I did not intend then to cause you harm. I intended to cause Kevin hilarious discomfort. That was the extent of my intent there. You know, have a little funny moment, and then if you got caught in the crossfire, so to speak, or if Ogdorel got caught in the crossfire, Sherbin probably would have, chewed me out, but I mean, deservedly, but not like no one would have been hurt. At the worst, Kevin and the rest of you might have needed to, change some clothes or something. But I did not intend to do you the harm that I did you, and I have apologized for that. Uh, I apologize to Sherbin, but I get the feeling that she might kill me in the attempt. Um, but comparing that to now, the difference there, people in the alley had declared their intent. Their intent was not good. Their intent was very much to cause harm, and so they received something in kind.
Very
So
nice of
not
them to
quite the
announce
same.
that they were going to mug you.
Well, I mean, that tends to how it works. It starts with a "give me your wallet or your life."
And I mean, yeah, you were always looking for a good prank back then, right? When did that change into bloodlust?
And I still like a good prank. I just tend to keep the pranks internal and the proactivity external. It's not like I've done a single thing that would put the group in any amount of harm since either as AO when AO was the fraction of me that you knew, or since I returned from the Garlean camp. Hell, half of you would be dead without me if I wasn't there during that fight with Omega.
You're not wrong. So you have no remorse for what you've done.
No, for them in the Kugane Undercity, if you could find an incident, if you could find me some proof that one of them wasn't what I made them out to be, then I'll have some remorse. But
Be kind
everything
of
that I
tough
saw,
considering they're dead.
well, not everyone gets their day in court.
They should.
They should, but by the same time, if their victims went some of the ways that they could have gone, they wouldn't have their day in court either.
All right. So no remorse. You're fine with what you did. So fact of the matter is, I guess we could bring it to the Sekisugumi. Let them know that you've been operating in the Undercity at some kind of what? Guardian angel.
Generic vigilante. I
Yeah.
honestly doubt they'd give a rat's ass about anything that happens in the Undercity because I did not see a single one of them even remotely patrolling the area. And I looked. But if it would ease your mind to try this little ritual of yours to cast out the demons that you think seem to be plaguing me, sure, fine. If it just stops the inane questioning, I'll go through with it. And if there is something there with the Ascian and the eyeballs, I'll be eternally grateful for getting rid of that because that is no. The next one of those masked fuckers I see, I'm putting a knife in his eye.
All right. Well, it's going to take about an hour for me to do. I don't know if you and Soul want to play some music, hang out, get comfortable.
Then do you need a lot of space for this? Should we do it in my room? Should we go into the courtyard?
Wherever you're comfortable, Millie.
Yeah, fine. There's better acoustics in the courtyard anyways. And Soul doesn't have a cumbersome instrument like I do.
Did Soul step out?
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
Oh, missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, he was upset.
Yeah, I got the upset. I didn't catch that he had left the room.
Funny that somebody has known you a fraction of the time that Dejs and I have is so upset over what you've been saying. Seems almost like something's wrong with it.
Or he's just jealous that I get to spend time with his crown prince and he doesn't.
Somehow I don't think that's the case. Well, let's go. I'll go out and get Saul.
Okay, I can go get Soul and meet you both in the courtyard. Oh, and Millie, about the ass kissing, Kevin did try to kiss the professor once when we were crossing Corthus, but it was on the lips. So, just wanted to set
You
the
know, I had completely forgotten about that. And I had also forgotten that I believe Kevin has a decidedly rotted fish head in his backpack that I snuck in there during that same crossing. So we probably want
to
to
swim. Okay.
wash everything that he
Oh,
has.
okay. Yeah, I'll let him know. He might have found it by now. But okay, I'll meet you in the courtyard. Bye. And go.
All right. In one sec, guys, I gotta let my dog in real quick.
Okay. So I'm gonna go to Soul's room because I figure that's where he's gonna go. And Soul, you there?
Yes, yes. What is it? What is Millie saying now?
Well, Millie said a bunch of crazy stuff after you left, but she's willing to go through with the ritual. So we would like to have you come and help us with it and play your mandolin and soothe the souls of everybody involved. No pun intended.
Well, I'm surprised she agreed, but I will go to help you and the professor.
Yeah. Well, knowing Millie, I think she doesn't really think it's going to work, but I trust the professor.
Yeah, I do as well.
Okay, so we're going to be in the courtyard. So if you need to gather your stuff, then I'll wait for you, or you want me to go ahead, I'll go ahead. But we can go back together.
Oh, no, I'm ready. I'll follow you there.
Okay. All right. Let's go. All right. So we'll go to the courtyard and meet up with Millie and the professor.
All right. Dejs, you have the silver dust.
I do. It's right here in the baggie, Professor. What do we need to do? Do we need to sprinkle a circle around, or some other
No,
shit?
I'm just gonna have to focus a little bit and gonna take an hour. So chat amongst yourselves or play some music.
Okay. So if Soul starts playing some music, I'll break out my castanets and be dancing.
But yeah, Soul's just gonna start playing some more mellow, chilled music. Nothing that you'd murder people to.
Oh, very good. Nice choice.
What did you say? I didn't catch it.
Oh, Soul's just playing chill music. Nothing that you'd murder somebody to.
Lovely.
Spread out the silver dust and start speaking in Elzin. Still watching Millie about this, seeing how she's reacting to all of it, basically.
So Billy would pull out another lollipop since I dropped my first one into dog hair. Yeah, no. Um, and she very much looks like that standard bratty teenager who's just like, oh boy, another lecture from the teacher. But she does, after a few minutes, find it irresistible to not join in the harmony of instruments. And so she activates the hard light keyboard. And so she'll just kind of like with one hand at first just hit a few keys in sequence with what Dejs and Soul are doing, and then like the nature of the keys, they don't exist until she puts her finger down, so they basically appear under her finger as she plays. And then at that point, I'd say once it's after another minute or so, she joins in with a little more uh, earnestness at the prospect of playing music with people who are not Kevin's harmonica.
Yeah.
And then a couple of the trees in the courtyard would that are Millie's or Ao's special trees would start to sway and sync with the music because they guard the courtyard and they like music. And still lollipop.
Stop speaking in Ellison and continue kind of drawing a glyph on the ground in the silver. You know, I would love to join you guys. I have a little kalimba that Shervin had made for me. I don't think I ever shown any of you, but you see, this is the Millie I remember.
It seems like you have a bit of a problem with people growing beyond the shape that you knew them in.
No, I have a problem with people murdering people in cold blood.
Me too. That's why I tried to put a stop to them.
By doing it.
You can't make an omelet without breaking a few muggers' heads.
Bullshit, Millie. And you know it.
Seems like the lesson of the day is just hypocrisy, so...
Oh, how's that?
I do believe you have a greater body count than I do.
And have I lured any of them to their deaths with false pretenses? Have I decided that I was going to be their jury? Decide if they get to live or not? Anything I've
Whether
done,
intentionally or not.
Anything that I may have done, I wish I didn't have to. You, on the other hand, seem pretty damn proud of yourself.
Well, like I said before, you always taught us to take pride in our work.
You could twist the words all you want, Millie, but somewhere you know that you're wrong.
Well, very good at taking secrets to the grave. And if what I did was so wrong, even as far back as the simulation, I didn't see Sol or Tavi objecting to what I was doing. They knew it was something necessary that needed to be done.
I feel
Can't
like...
speak for Tavi, but I know I was just trying to get the party out of what I thought was a real situation, which is a far cry from luring people into an alley to murder them.
Weren't you the one who said something about people in war expecting what they were going to get?
Sorry, could you repeat that? My brain did not comprehend.
Weren't you the one who was talking about people in war understanding that they risk their lives and taking that, that risk? Meanwhile, you're actively hunting people. That otherwise would have probably gone on with their day.
They might have gone on with their day that day, and then tomorrow they might have butchered an innocent family and dumped them in the river. Or worse, it's the sewers, so it'd be even more desecration.
Or maybe they would have gone home and hugged their wife and picked up their kid.
Sound like what, Chris?
Oh, now you're starting to sound like Sherbin. They might do something tomorrow. Yeah, I might poison my kid tomorrow. Yeah, okay. That's what you sound like. That's what you sound like, Millie.
I feel like that's both insulting and vindicating, that I'm now parroting things back that were said to me by people of supposed wisdom and goodness.
She's not the one who's murdering people in dark alleys, Millie.
No, she's not. But to the credit of the Steppe, I feel like they don't have the same seedy underbelly that Kugane has. I feel like their
Got an
society
answer
is
for
a little bit
everything,
more
don't you?
balanced. I try. I feel like why wouldn't I want to have an answer for everything?
Oh. I gotta be honest, if this is the real you now, not gonna be somebody I want to have any kind of relationship with.
I'd be lying if I said that wouldn't be a shame, but at the same time, with your current extended sabbatical in the steppe, my involvement with this group is kind of a requirement because I am the only one who can do anything close to what you do when you're not here to do it yourself.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Soul can handle a few things that I could do.
A few, but not to the same extent. Our magic might be similar, but
Seems to me that
I
he
paid a
did a
particular
pretty
point.
damn good job at keeping a lot of us up in that Omega fight, too.
Sure, but
Then the
would you want to risk
murdering
it?
people in the streets part.
There was more than one time during that fight that if I wasn't there, or you weren't there, I don't think Saul would have been able to shoulder the burden of keeping the entire party on their feet.
I do. I have faith in him. So I have faith in all of you. A little concerned about having faith in somebody that's been doing what you're doing, but it is what it is, I guess. I'll go back to kind of drawing in the silver.
And then it goes back to her lollipop.
I'll go up to Soul and kiss him on the cheek, and then I'm gonna go up to this professor and kiss him on the cheek. So that way they're blessed.
Just in broad terms, bless, nothing specific.
Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, it's a very beautiful day for music.
It is. I look over at Soul. Got anything special?
I think I have one in mind for this, and Soul's gonna play like a little bit more like a faster paced song, but still upbeat and giving Sid inspiration.
Well, if this really isn't anything and I've been out of my mind this whole time, Millie, I figure that this might be the last time you and I talk.
Oh, then. Just time to see how the spell operates.
Oh, so. That I will cast Ceremony, Atonement. I need to make a DC 20 Insight check, and if I succeed, it switches Millie's alignment back to what it was.
Even more evil.
That's an 8. I have a +9 to Insight. 17. And what is Bless again, Chris?
D4.
Yeah.
That is 18. We got a 1 on that. And Soul's Inspiration is a D10. And that's an 8 for a total of 26.
So then, as Millie and Dejs and Sol are all just playing music while Sid wraps up his spell. Um, not really any visual effect from the spell's activations, not a flashy spell. But Millie would stop playing as the spell finished and just kind of momentarily 1,000-yard stare for a second. And then she would, the piano keys would dissipate and she would like grab her arms like this and sit like that for a few seconds, uh, increasing the pressure she has on her arms until her nails are digging into her the flesh of her upper arm, and you see some rivulets of blood running down her arm. And then she suddenly leans over and then just starts to vomit this thick black like ooze onto the ground, and then you can see like dark black veins throughout any of the exposed skin, even visible over her already kind of grayish dark skin anyways. And then as the ichor spills upon the ground, making a small puddle, it quickly dissipates into the air like it was made out of ether that just kind of disseminates into the air. And then she would, after a uncomfortable amount of liquid has left her body, the veins clear up and she collapses to the ground.
Does she have rabies, Professor? Why would she do that?
No, I don't think that's rabies, Deus. I'll go over and check on her.
Okay, but if it does turn out to be rabies, you let me know.
You'll be the first to know.
Millie's fine, but not for long.
Millie, can you
So when
hear
you
me?
check on Millie, she's breathing, but seems kind of catatonic.
So just tonic.
God damn it. Yes, but her eyes are open. Yep, David, with the same joke.
Sol, do you maybe have something might be able to help?
Yeah, I can use, I can do a little tetragrammatron healing. That's probably my beefiest healing, so I can do with my bow here. I'm not sure if that will do anything to her, but there we go.
So the healing would it restores a bit of normal skin tone after that expulsion, but she seems to respond and just kind of curls up into a ball in the fetal position, and just doesn't seem to want to acknowledge anything around her.
I don't think we should leave her laying in the courtyard, so let's get her back to her room.
Sounds like a plan. Soul? Can you pick her up?
I'm guessing she looks like she needs to be carried or something like that.
I mean, I could
So
try.
I'm still
Yeah.
gonna bend down and kind of look to see if Millie will give any sort of like okay for him to pick her up. Is he reacting at all?
No reaction one way or the other.
Soul's gonna take a deep breath and then kind of scoop her up.
So she cringes a little bit at the touch, but doesn't resist being picked up. And given the height of a Garlean compared to her, it's like carrying a child.
Soul's gonna continue humming the song he was playing, but he's not gonna like say anything to her.
And by that point, any of the black goo on the ground has ether poofed away into nothingness.
Well,
Guessing I'm following Sid and Dejs back to Millie's room.
Well, if I'm right, that definitely seemed to be a good indicator.
All that stuff. That was good.
Well, it wasn't good that it was in her. Probably good that it's not anymore.
Okay. I trust you, Professor. Yeah. Just rabies, you know. Okay. We should keep an eye, make sure she doesn't try to bite Soul or something, and get her comfortable. Let's go to her room and
Lay her down on the bed. Might be a good idea to have somebody keep an eye on her. I can stay here if you'd like and keep an eye on. I'm just not sleeping much these days, anyways. So want to make sure she's okay.
Well, I'll stick around a little bit longer and hang out in the hallway. Maybe she'll come out of it.
So Soul lays her on the bed. She moves a little bit to basically pull the covers up over her head and just maintains that tiny little fetal position ball under the sheets, trying to make herself as small as possible.
I gotta be honest, I think if she's gonna come around, it would be from talking to you two. I think whatever hypocrisy she thinks that I have might not be the best conversation right now.
well, I don't know, Professor. I think the two of you need to work this out. I think you being there and having her face that might be helpful for her too. I think she needs all of her family around her.
Well, I will, like I said, I'll stick around a little while longer if she wants to come out of it, but maybe you guys talking to her will be better. I'm going to go out into the hallway and just kind of sit there and play with the kalimba around my neck.
As Sid opens the door to the hallway, there is a strike of lightning and thunder sound in the room, and you just see flashes of blue and purple and green, and you hear a tearing sound as if the very atmosphere is being pulled apart in front of you. And within about 30 seconds of this happening, a large, interesting figure steps out, looking a little bit like this that I'm about to post. And she says, "When one of my subjects cries out in pain, I come to exact vengeance."
I'm all right, thanks though.
Your subjects, you say?
Who hurt this beautiful Fey child?
I would kind of say that her actions might have done that, but who are you, by the way?
You may bow down before your king, Titania.
We'll save the bowing for a few minutes, but we had a suspicion that something had invaded her mind, and we performed the ceremony to try and fix it.
She scans the room and she looks over at Millie. And Millie, are you just still fetal position, not responding?
Yeah, basically just hiding under the covers and not moving.
I will return in 1 week of your time to speak with my subject, and if I am not pleased with what I hear, You may expect vengeance. And then she just poofs into a million butterflies and disappears.
Well, that was weird.
Faye.
Maybe Millie was acting like herself if that king's just going to bust in and start yelling about vengeance.
I will continue my way out into the hallway and leave Soul and Dejs with her.
Once that ends and Sid fully leaves the room, Dejs and Soul would hear a very tiny squeak of a voice from the bed that says, "I'd like to be alone, please."
Okay, Millie. I'll leave you alone, and I'll walk out to hang out with Sid in the hallway.
I'll leave, but if you need anything, you know where to ask. So Soul's going to leave.
And you see the slightest little, what you assume to be a head nod under the covers.
After the door closes, all things considered, I feel like we should probably have somebody keeping an eye on this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Saul. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying I agree too.
Yeah, then we're in agreement. Yeah. So while we're out here in the hallway, I'm going to take my sounding sentry and put it up on Millie's door. So that way, if anybody goes in or out, it'll be like a little mental alarm for me.
And I don't think that whatever just happened there had anything to do with the Asian, so I'm going to have to continue to try to figure something out about that, but it's pretty much what we could do to help her for now, I think.
I'll just have to keep an eye on her and make sure she's mostly back to normal, hopefully at least.
Thank you for your help.
No, thank you, Professor. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for not giving up on her.
I don't make a habit of giving up on people.
I know.
You guys be safe and make sure that A, that she doesn't go hunting anymore, and B, that she's taken care of. I'm sure you got that in hand.
Yeah, just let me know if she leaves her room so we can keep an eye on her.
Yeah, we'll know. I'll know.
If
I'll be in the
anything,
courtyard playing music to the trees.
and I'll be heading back. If you need anything, you know how to get hold of me.
Okay, that sounds good, Professor. Oh, Sol, before you go, I was thinking if maybe you could just play one more tune here out here in the hallway, and then I'm going to ask him to play the song that Millie had made for her parents that she had played for us in the East Eldonor Trading Company, so that way Millie can hear it while she's in her room. And then after that, Sol can go do whatever he wants to do.
He'll still pause, realizing what it is, and do like a little smile before he starts playing it.
So Millie in the room would sit up when she hears the song that Soul's playing from the duet that they shared that one night. And she'd go over to the mask on the wall, and under the musical noise coverage of Soul's music, snap the mask in half down the center. And then she goes to her desk and gets a piece of paper and just writes a little note. and then sits on her bed to listen to the rest of the song. And then when the song ends, she sets the broken mask on the bed, like on her pillow, and puts the note on top of it. And then Aetherite teleports away back to Idleshire, which wouldn't hit the sounding sentry, but I don't know, David, if the Aetherite teleport makes noise of some kind when it does things.
It has like a whooshing sound.
Okay, then those in the hallway would hear the sound.
And being familiar with that, I go and open that up.
The sound. Yeah, so when you go into the room, Millie's gone. There's a little note on the with the broken mask on the bed. So whoever
If he heard it, I would definitely stick his head in to see what was going on.
Go take a look at the note.
Yeah, so the note says, I just needed a moment to think to myself. I'm in Idleshire. I'll be back later tonight. I'm not running away again.
That's
We'll
progress.
share the note with everybody. And it feels like she's telling the truth, so that's all I can do is give her some space.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody we can even contact in Idleshire right now, especially with link pearls being
Rowena.
down. I guess all we can do now is wait.
So that's all you can do.
You guys be safe and reach out if you need anything.
Okay,
You too,
be-
Professor.
Take a few steps down the hallway and do my own Aetherite back to the step.
Well, so I guess we just wait for Millie to come back, and then we'll keep keeping an eye on her.
Yep. Hopefully we can get her back to normal here.
One step at a time.
Indeed.
Then I guess I'll get my sounding sentry back and put it in my pocket and go about my day.
Nice job, everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were gonna get it done.
Somewhere in the
But
distance,
it
you
worked.
just hear, "This isn't Ilmeg. I must have made a wrong turn at Albuquerque." All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording now. Thanks for that fun little session, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah,
to
thanks
listen
for
in.
recording.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank you, guests,
recording.
for attending.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks for recording.